In the fading light of the grey havens, an old hobbit takes his final steps onto a white ship bound for the Undying Lands. This is Bilbo Baggins, the burglar, the ring finder, the first hobbit to venture beyond the Shire and return to tell the tale. His journey began with 13 dwarves at his door and a simple adventure to reclaim a mountain. But it evolved into something far greater, setting in motion the events that would define the end of the Third Age itself. But here's the question that haunts every Tolkien fan. Bilbo was the first hobbit to bear the One Ring and the first to sail into the West. What actually happened to him when he stepped off that ship? Did crossing into the Undying Lands make him immortal? Did he ever reunite with Frodo? And what was his ultimate fate in those blessed realms? Today, we're diving deep into canonical texts and Tolkien's own letters to uncover the truth about Bilbo Baggins's final chapter. To understand Bilbo's fate, we first need to grasp why he was permitted to sail west at all. The Undying Lands, Valinor, and its surrounding regions are forbidden to mortals. This isn't just a rule, it's a fundamental law of Tolkien's world. Men and hobbits are meant to live and die in Middle-earth, with their souls passing beyond the circles of the world. But Bilbo received something extraordinary, a gift of grace. This wasn't arbitrary. As a Ringbearer, Bilbo carried a burden that left lasting wounds, not just physical, but spiritual. The ring's influence, even after he gave it up, had marked him. The passage to the Undying Lands was offered as a place of healing, where such deep wounds could find rest. Arwen likely played a crucial role in securing this passage. As one who would later give up her immortality for love, she understood sacrifice. Her influence with her father Elrond and the other ring-bearers helped ensure Bilbo's place on that final ship. But perhaps most importantly, Bilbo earned this grace through an act of immense spiritual strength. He was the first being in thousands of years to willingly surrender the ring, not through force, not through death, but through choice. This unprecedented act of free will marked him as deserving of honor and healing in the Blessed Realm. When Bilbo's ship reached the Undying Lands, he didn't step into Valinor proper, the realm of the Valar themselves. Instead, he made his home on Tol Eressëa, the Lonely Isle. This island, situated off the coast of Valinor, was specifically designated as a dwelling place for mortals who had been granted passage west. Here, Bilbo could finally find the peace that had eluded him in his later years in Middle-earth. The shadow of the ring, that persistent weight he carried even after giving it up, could begin to fade. No longer would he feel that strange thinness, that sense of being stretched like butter over too much bread. And yes, he was reunited with Frodo. When the younger hobbit arrived years later, bearing his own deeper wounds from the ring, they found each other again in that place of healing. Two ring-bearers, uncle and nephew in all but blood, finally free to simply exist without the burden they had carried. It's even possible that Bilbo lived to see one final reunion. After Sam's wife Rose passed away, the faithful gardener, himself a ring-bearer for those brief moments in Mordor, was also granted passage west. The three hobbits who had carried the ring's burden may have spent their final days together in that blessed isle. But let's address the biggest misconception head-on. Many believe that reaching the Undying Lands grants immortality to mortals. This is simply not true, and Tolkien himself was crystal clear about this in his letters. In letter 246, Tolkien explains that the passage west was granted to ring-bearers because of their unique suffering, not to make them immortal. The healing they found was spiritual and emotional, a release from trauma, not from mortality itself. The term Undying Lands refers to the immortal beings who dwell there, the elves, the Valar, and the Maiar. The land itself doesn't transform the nature of those who enter it. A mortal remains mortal. So what happened to Bilbo? He lived out the remainder of his natural lifespan in unprecedented peace. The pain, both physical and spiritual, that had begun to consume him in Rivendell was eased. He could spend his days in gentle contemplation, perhaps continuing his writing, certainly enjoying the company of elves and the few other mortals granted this grace. And then, when his time came, Bilbo Baggins died a natural death, but it was a death free from suffering, free from the shadow of the ring, and free from the weight of all his adventures. It was perhaps the most peaceful ending any mortal could hope for. There's profound symbolic beauty in Bilbo's final journey that goes beyond mere plot mechanics. His voyage to the Undying Lands represents the ultimate there and back again, the title he chose for his own book about the adventure to Erebor. Think about it. Bilbo's life was defined by departures and returns. He left Bag End reluctantly, traveled to the Lonely Mountain, and returned transformed. He left the Shire again at his birthday party, found refuge in Rivendell, and now made his final journey to a place of ultimate return, not to the Shire, but to a state of peace he had known before the ring entered his life. His story also affirms something essential about hobbits in Tolkien's mythology. These small folk, with their love of simple pleasures and home, possess a fundamental goodness that even the wisest cannot fully explain. Bilbo's courage wasn't the blazing heroism of kings or warriors. It was the quiet strength of someone who did what needed doing, even when afraid. His final reward wasn't escape from death, but the chance to approach death in peace. It's the ultimate recognition of a life well lived, of unexpected courage, and of the choice to let go when the time was right. So there we have it, the true fate of Bilbo Baggins. He sailed west as a gift of grace, found healing and peace on Tol Eressëa, was reunited with Frodo and possibly Sam, and ultimately died a mortal death, free from the burdens that had weighed on his final years in Middle-earth. It wasn't immortality he found, but something perhaps more precious, the chance to end his story on his own terms, in a place where pain could finally fade and peace could finally reign. What do you think of Bilbo's ultimate reward? Was this the ending the old hobbit deserved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Middle-earth lore, consider subscribing for more explorations of Tolkien's legendary world.